Good afternoon, everyone. Jim Ake, we'll call the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order on July 26, 2023 at 1:02 PM. Would the clerk please note the presence of a quorum?
Jim Ake,
Here.
Larry Clarino,
Here.
Mayor Cook.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. The first order of, on the docket is to approve. There are no change, I'd like to make an announcement, there are no changes to the agenda. So the agenda has posted. At this time, I'd like to review the meeting minutes for approval. Could I have a motion?
I'll motion that we approve the minutes of the June 28th, 23 meeting
As stated.
as stated.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting, June 28th, 2023, please signify by saying aye.
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 I abstain because I wasn't here. So the motion carries 201. Permit approval action.
Got to amend the executive minutes. Have to be approved. Right here.
There's a second set of minutes. There was an executive
Well, I did.
prior to the regular.
Okay. Have that on my agenda. Okay, all right, so. Oh, what?
This was posted yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So there was an item added, I guess, yesterday, action item number 2. There was an executive session meeting, June 28th, 2023. And the minutes of the executive session need to be approved from June 28th, 2023. Would someone make a motion?
I will make the motion to approve the executive session minutes.
Okay, is there a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I abstain because I wasn't in attendance. So they pass. Thank you. So now so the next item is action item number 3.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to be off a little bit. Okay. All right, we're moving on to action item number 3, encroachment application, Duke Energy, 229 Roosevelt Street, Duke encroachment.
Adam Essex, City of Westfield Utility Coordinator. Duke Energy is proposing the replacement of 2 aerial poles at near the intersection of Roosevelt and Cherry Street. This is near the Midland South residential development taking place over there near the Union Bible College campus. Duke is planning an underground feed to these residential units, but they do need to replace 2 existing poles in kind. The new poles would be at the back of the right of way, and the feed for the residential development would be underground. They did look at a design to eliminate the 2 poles entirely. That would be at a cost of about $62,500 to the developer, or Duke was willing to absorb the cost if they can replace the 2 existing poles.
All right, thank you.
I know it doesn't help when we don't have the visual aid.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
difficult. So are there
Okay,
any?
but is this how far off the pavement of Roosevelt and how far off the pavement of Terry?
This is actually a ways from Cherry. It's about halfway in between Cherry and Union, and there's not a ton of right of way. Yeah.
I'd say there's probably 3 or 4 feet, but we also don't have very much right of way through that area. So they're the backs of our existing right of way through that area.
But I guess my question is are there any plans to widen Is this Cherry you're talking about?
So
Any plans to widen Cherry,
So-
and who would bear the expense of moving these poles?
correct. So we do have plans to widen Roosevelt and Cherry, these poles particularly along Roosevelt. So that's part of our Union Street drainage project that we have ARPA funds for. We are currently in design right now on there, so we don't know what impacts that would have on these poles, whether we'll avoid them or need these to move back. If we do need these to move back, I don't believe they're an easement, so they would have to bear the cost of moving those poles, Duke would, if they have to move those part of that project.
But you don't have your plans yet.
Correct. We don't have a finalized set of plans or a plans where we know the exact impact on those poles at this time.
I would only approve these if Duke agrees, right of way easement, whatever, they will bear the cost of moving these in another year, within the
Agreed.
next year,
Agreed. Yeah. And
which is
Adam,
not very smart.
correct. Adam and I discussed this, and we should actually have those plans within the next couple of weeks, at least a preliminary set where we know the impacts. And so our goal was to have the discussion with Duke once we receive those plans and have a more holistic approach to it, to say, you're
Well,
going to
then
have
why
to move
don't
these
we
anyway.
make them do what they make you do all the time and wait 2 weeks?
Correct. That's our goal, is if we get this approved, we can talk to them and say, wait just a little bit on these until we know your impacts, and then we can
Yeah.
settle it on
So
that.
can we do this next month?
Yeah, should we table this? I mean, I'm not comfortable.
I think we could, we certainly could do that, or we could approve it with the condition that we coordinate with them to put them in the correct location that will not impact our future widening project. So
Okay.
either one.
I think we just move to table it and you guys work it out the way it should be and we'll do it again.
And I'll second to table it. I'm not comfortable voting on something this vague, frankly. So,
Good, thank you.
All right, so.
we need to vote?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we have a motion to table action item number 3. Now, my list is numbered differently.
What?
So,
didn't she just give you a new?
yes, but this
Okay,
would
we
be
have a
under, all
motion. Let's do
Okay,
the motion.
all right.
You work your clerical problem in a minute.
right. So we have a motion before us to table action item encroachment application Duke Energy.
Just call it that.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, right. So the motion before us, all those in favor of tabling the encroachment application by Duke 229 Roosevelt Street, signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Yeah, okay. All right. And the next item is the Community Bible Fellowship Church and City of Westfield dedication and public right of way. Michael?
So this is right-of-way dedication for Community Bible along 161st Street. So they're undergoing a pretty massive addition to their church. As part of their development plans, per our thoroughfare plan, they're required to dedicate right-of-way along their frontage. So this is basically just the right-of-way dedication form for them to dedicate 60 feet of right-of-way across the frontage of their property in accordance with the thoroughfare plan.
Any discussion? I move to approve the Community Bible Fellowship Church and City of Westfield dedication and public right of way. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion seconded. All those in favor of approval of the Community Bible Fellowship Church and City of Westfield dedication and public right of way, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. All right, next item for discussion is Baumgartner and Company and City of Westfield Goods and Services Contract, 175th Street in Oak Ridge.
And yeah, I apologize. I wanted to have this up on the map for everybody to see, but if you can imagine where 175th Street ties into Oak Ridge, it's right by the newer Starbucks Penn Station building along the east side of the road. This contract is to finish the A-cell and D-cell tapers of 175th Street that were supposed to be completed as part of the overall development plans, but there were some issues with the developer on that one. We were able actually to recoup money in order to then perform these improvements at a later date, which we've now bid out to get some quotes from contractors. Baumgartner was our lowest quote on this project. So for $149,450, they'll complete the ACell D-cell tapers as well as the pedestrian path, the wood guardrail over the culvert. So it'll basically kind of mimic what's on the west side of the road, at that location.
Any questions for Michael?
Who's paying for this? Is the developer?
So there were some issues because the developer was supposed to complete it. There were some legal proceedings with them because they did not proceed it. We were able to take some of the money that was supposed to go toward these improvements. We got that from the developer, and then we're using that money now to complete these. So it essentially is the developer's money that we got during the after they failed to complete those.
How much are we getting?
I think it was in the neighborhood of 125,000, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so
So,
the extra.
and that was 2019, 2020 that we got those. So with a little bit of escalation in costs, obviously between there, we're getting most of that money. Most of that money is covering these improvements.
Okay, and we will be getting it. I mean,
I
don't
believe we already have it.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a legal mess.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving this item regarding Baumgartner and Company signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. It's approved. Okay, next item for discussion is joint use maintenance agreement for US 31 totem and signage.
John, are you picking up on?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys hear me okay? Yep.
You're breaking up a little bit. We can hear.
Sorry,
hear you.
I'm in the mountains, so the
Yep.
reception's a little spotty, unfortunately. But this is related to our totem on 31. NDOT with that piece of artwork in the state right of way on 31. They want us to enter into a joint use maintenance agreement to spell out how we are going to handle long-term maintenance of that feature. And because Carmel also has a portion of that totem with a Carmel
We're losing you.
This is Jewel. I can speak on this too, because I know Jonathan's connection is a little bit bad. So this
Thank you,
is,
Jewel.
yeah, this is the totem on 31. Additionally, it is the 5 signs that are on the overpass, the green signs that are Westfield. So it splits out the maintenance of the totem and the signs. So the signs will remain the obligation of Westfield to pay for any maintenance, upkeep, replacement of the green signs that are on the overpass. On the totem itself, if there are repairs that need to be made, it's going to be Westfield will be billed for them. Carmel has to reimburse 50%. So this is the second go around of this contract, and they had circulated this before. We made some revisions and corrections to it. They've accepted most of them. There's a little bit of language in there that I don't think really applies because there aren't any federal funds attached to this. But NDOT wants to keep that in there. So it really just delineates who's responsible for the structures and the signs on 31 and how payment is going to be split amongst Carmel and Westfield.
Any questions?
The, when I read the contract, does the state, would they do the maintenance and then bill us? Or would we find a vendor to actually do the maintenance on the totem?
It depends. So that we will have the opportunity to do it and go bid it out and take care of it that way and then essentially bill Carmel. But the state can tell us, hey, you need to do something to this, even if we think it may not need to be done. And if we don't have the ability to get it done, the state can let the project for the maintenance on it and then bill us, and then Carmel pays us 50% on the total. For the signs, that is 100% us.
Okay, and that would include like light bulb maintenance and excuse me, and that sort of thing, 'cause there really shouldn't be a lot of maintenance. It's a Core 10 steel sign, so there really, there shouldn't be a lot, correct?
Yeah. Hey, sorry guys, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, apologies. Yeah, I don't know how much of that you caught the first time, but essentially, NDOT's requiring Carmel and Westfield to enter into this maintenance agreement to spell out how we're going to split maintenance costs for the totem in 31. It's required because we are putting that piece of artwork in the state right of way in that medium of the highway. So, and we have agreed with Carmel that we're splitting those costs 50-50. Wouldn't expect very much maintenance at all, but NDOT's just trying to make sure they're covered in case something were to happen to that totem, that we would be on the hook to, you know, make those maintenance improvements as needed in perpetuity.
Okay,
Anything else?
that answered my question.
I entertain a motion. I'll move to approve the joint use maintenance agreement for US 31 totem and signage. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving this maintenance agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Building moving services, signing authority. Michael?
I'll take this one as well.
Oh, you're gonna take it, John? Okay.
Yep. So this is related to the State Road 32 project. As you guys are probably aware, part of our environmental commitments, 432 was to move the 102 South Union building, also known as that green building, which housed Erica's for quite some time. That building is going to be picked up, moved to a location just south of the Westfield Playhouse on the east side of Union, so a couple blocks north of where it sits today. What this is for is a signing authority for the request for quotes that we're going to solicit to at least 3 building mover contractors who are specialized in moving historic structures. So we expect that the quotes will come back under the not to exceed amount of $150,000, which allows us to do a RFQ rather than a public bid. And there aren't a lot of contractors that are really equipped to do this kind of work. So having essentially 3, we've got 3 really good ones that we've researched and know that they're capable of doing. We're going to find out based on the RFQ who's going to come in lowest. Once we get those quotes back, this is just a sign authority for me to sign off and get them moving on that relocation. Any questions?
What is the amount, Jonathan?
It's not to exceed 150.
150.
150,000. I expect it to be lower than that, but for the signing authority, we want to make sure that it would be a not to exceed of 150. That is the threshold for our RFQ process in the city of Westfield. Anything higher than that, we have to publicly bid.
Jeez, you could do it for that. Move 2.
Yeah, wow, I'm impressed with that number. What does this actually get us? Picking the building up, moving it to the new location and plopping it down. That doesn't include any
Foundation.
yeah, and a foundation
Correct.
for the new building. So I assume the new foundation would have to be built before this move, correct?
That's correct. So how it's going to work, we're going to move the building due east temporarily until the overhead electric lines can be buried underground. That'll clear the way to move the building north to the final spot. In the meantime, while those utilities are going underground is when we'll build the foundation and have everything set up for that final move of the building itself. So once we get the contractor on board, that helps because it's a little bit of a collaborative process with regards to the foundation design and so forth. So the earlier we can get this contractor on board, the more quickly we can move towards finalizing foundation design, HVAC, some of the stuff that we'll need to do for the final location of this building.
So there is more to be spent, but
Yeah,
we know
to be
that.
clear, yeah, to be clear, this is just to move the building to that new location. And the reason we're doing the temporary move east is because it would have been astronomically expensive to temporarily move utilities at our cost to be able to move this building north. So we're going to move it due east until all the utilities are underground, and that'll clear the way for us to move it to its final location.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
So to be clear, this is only the one move to the temporary location. It's not,
No, this is it's the temporary move plus the coming back later and moving to the final location. But
okay.
it only includes the moving of the building. The contractor is only going to be moving the building. They are not constructing the foundation or doing any of that work.
Is there any concern about the condition of the building, and would there be any associated costs?
So it's a good question, Jim. And I had the same question with the contractors we've met with so far. They actually felt like it was in really good shape, and they didn't. They felt like it wasn't that big of a deal. They've seen these things and done these types of moves all the time. They said this one wasn't overly challenging. I think the ones that get really challenging are the brick buildings where they have to shore the brick walls. With this being a timber, 2x4 construction, they had very little concern.
Okay, thank you. There's nothing else. I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
I'll second. All those in favor of approving the building moving services signing authority signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. I do have next on my agenda, request for proposals or qualifications regarding the Westfield Police Headquarters project. That was removed. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, and then we get into the consent agenda, Westfield Police Department. Do you have any comments? Well, it's new officer.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joel.
Real quick, for your approval, we've given a conditional offer of employment to Merrick Hollinger. He's currently an officer with Kokomo. He's a Kokomo kid from Kokomo, grew up there, went to high school there. Since working there, he and his new wife moved to Westfield, kind of fell in love with the city, and now evidently his whole family's moving here. So it seems to be the trend,
isn't it?
Yeah. So he's really sharp. He's got experience, and he's just one of those nice guys. So he fits in really well. He has a Ball State University degree and has some experience, not only being a police officer, but he's a correction officer at Howard County for a few years. So I think he'd be a great addition.
Thank you. Having that piece of information is helpful. Also on the consent agenda is the July bond information. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved, or I motion that we approve the consent agenda as stated.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye of approving the consent agenda.
Aye.
Motion carries. And we have, the next item is department reports. So, Chief Gaylor for fire.
Yeah, a couple things to report. The month of June was a good month for us. We're actually down in calls compared to 22, almost 8%, 7.5% down. So we still averaged 13.9 calls a day, maintained our average turnout time of 1:14, and had a total of 934 apparatus responses. Without the charts and graphs, it's going to make it a little difficult. But the month of June was, I hate to use the word typical, but an average month for us. Again, finishing up the month allowed us to do a half semi-annual report. So with that, a couple numbers that throw out at the group. 2,384 calls for service. We averaged 13.24 responses per day. Our average turnout time was 1:16 for over 5,000 apparatus responses for the first half of the year. Station 81 was our busiest station with 1,036 calls. Station 2, 861, and then Station 3, 484. in the first half of the year. Overall, we're still up where we were at this point last year, accumulatively 2.5%. So if things hold true, that puts us between that 3 and 5%, which was well within our predictions last year for end of the year runs. Just over 1,600 medical calls and filter in the rest of the stuff that we do. The fire alarms, both residential and commercial, are pretty close to the same, 87 residential alarms and 97 commercial alarms for the first half of the year. And really, that's all I have, unless you folks have some questions.
All right, thank you. You want to give a quick rundown on the new station? Quick.
Yeah, so we're this week and last week spent a lot of time out there at headquarters doing a walkthrough with the contractors on the punch out list, items that we need to go back and finish up, and walked through the room or through the station, room by room, hall by hall, marking paint nicks or signage that's wrong, whatever the case is, to go through. And so we've got the fleet services side to walk through, but we've walked through the whole building, finished yesterday with the apparatus base. So our automatic transfer switch was delivered. So that's a bonus. We're waiting on the generator, which should be here in a couple weeks. So still no definitive timeline on when we're actually going to get moved in, but we're getting closer every day.
Good job. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Joel Rush?
So we've been pretty busy. A little bit of everything. Past 2 days we've spent interviewing applicants. We had like 23, I think, total over the past 2 days that we interviewed. Resulted in quite a few good candidates, I think. We'll be narrowing down 2 for replacements of a couple people that are leaving. Next week on Tuesday, in association with National Night Out, we're doing the Jake Lear Community Day, Quaker Park, from 5 to 8. So it should be a fun time for everybody. Come out to that. Colts Camp started today. We've got a whole group of officers that are committed to that, keeping the place safe. Pretty good turnout, I thought, today for being, a 9, 10 o'clock start. Looked like the stands were full, so it's all good. Looking forward to Friday during the day, and then Saturday at night should be our big day. So it should be, I think they have, they've sold out, obviously, but showed 10,000, so we're expecting, half that probably. Should be a good day. Building project, it's moving forward quite nicely at this point. We're very committed to it, excited about it. The RFP was pushed out. We've got our submissions in, so that's all done. The next phase would be really just reviewing those and ultimately picking a construction team to partner with. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
You sound like a very busy department.
Got a lot going on, but it's all good.
In a good way.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that report. Any other questions for Chief? All right. Public Works. Jonathan?
So NDOT's 32 bridge over Cool Creek is continuing to move along pretty nicely. We have a weekly progress meeting with the contractor in NDOT that I sit in on just to make sure that I'm in the loop, but it seems to be on track. So that'll pave the way for our 161st Oak roundabout project. As soon as their bridge project is over and they open 32 up, we'll go to our roundabout project. In the meantime, I'm sure you've noticed some demolition in the downtown area for our 32 downtown widening project. So that is moving forward. And other than that, I don't have much more to report. Happy to answer any questions, though.
Any other questions?
No, no questions, just a couple of quick comments. First of all, I want to thank Jonathan and Joel for helping our little street with our parking issue, where we have a private street that we've been trying to get resealed.
Did you finally get that done?
No, we're aiming for this Saturday
Oh,
now.
geez.
It's these Saturday morning rains are killing us, so. But on another point, and when Jeremy hears this, I hope he's sitting down. I have praise for Waste Management. They missed our little street in Oak Manor on recycle pickup. I talked to a gentleman named Mike Garrett, who I guess is one of their supervisors. He responded literally overnight. The problem was our fault. It wasn't their fault. And I have to say, their response was absolutely wonderful and high praise for them. I hope this is a trend in the right direction.
Very good.
Very good.
Appreciate that comment. They need it.
Okay, good. Well, that concludes our agenda for the day, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.